What's up everybody? So I have now owned my 2011 Hyundai Genesis Coupe for 4 years, and it has definitely been tons of fun over the past few years. So like the title indicates, this will be my 4-year update. I'll talk a little bit about the history of this vehicle and how it came to be, some of the modifications I've done to it, the different driving I've done, any maintenance issues or reliability issues with the vehicle, and then my overall plans for modifications as well as the actual ownership of the vehicle. And if you enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. So starting off with the history, my first car when I was 16 was a 2007 Scion TC with the 5-speed manual transmission. That was definitely a really cool car. It was great for a first car. A year and a half later, I sold it and then was looking for a new vehicle. So for the new cars, I was looking at the Genesis Coupe with the 2-liter engine, a 350Z, the Audi A3, and the Mazda RX-8. Coming from the TC with front-wheel drive, I didn't really want to go that route again, so I decided against the Audi. The Quattro was a little out of my price range. The Mazda RX-8, I really do like everything about it, but so many reviews about the reliability of the engine, I just didn't want to have to deal with that. So then I was down to the Genesis versus the 350Z. And they were both around the same price. I was finding them for the low $20,000 range. However, the Genesis was a 1-year-old car with 10,000 miles, and the Z was a 4-year-old car with about 30 to 40,000 miles. So it really was a little hard to justify spending the same amount of money on such an older car. And with the Genesis, I had a few more years left of the factory warranty, had rear seats, and a larger trunk. So it was kind of an easy choice going with a newer car, less miles, and more practicality for what I was looking for. So for the modifications that I've done to this car, intake exhaust, intercooler pipes, the blow-off valve, I did the Phenolic intake manifold spacer, which was really cool to see my intake air temperatures drop about 20 degrees, which was something I wasn't expecting. For cosmetics, I painted the stock wheels gloss black. I did the wheel spacers so they're nice and flush. I did the custom grille and custom front fog light bezels. For the rear end, I did the track edition spoiler, and that was actually installed about 3 weeks after buying the car. It was kind of crazy to drill 7 holes into the trunk of my new car. Definitely an interesting experience. And then recently I did a custom rear diffuser with some fins in it, and then the carbon fiber roof as well. For the inside, I've done some Alcantara interior trim. I don't know if you can see right now, but the A-pillars are Alcantara, as well as the lower side of the dash. And then for my seats, you can tell these are the red R-Spec seats. And that was maybe a year and a half ago. I met a guy through the Genesis Coupe group that I'm a part of who had a full set of the R-Spec seat coverings for $200 for sale. Jumped on that deal, went down and picked them up. And then it took us about 5 hours to strip the stock cloth and then install the R-Spec seat coverings. And then I've probably done a few more mods, and I'll list all of them in the description just so I'm not rambling too much. But it's definitely been a lot of fun to modify this car. Coming from my TC, I had only done the short throw shifter, intake exhaust, and a little graphic on the side. So I didn't really customize that one that much. While the Genesis, I've definitely done tons of work to it. Still keeping it kind of a stock looking car. I don't want a car right now that's crazy, slammed to the ground with big wheels or anything crazy like that. I want a car that looks kind of like it's stock and as if it could have been done like this from the factory. So it's like a stock looking car, just much more aggressive. So the past 3.5 years of owning this car, I was in college, and that worked out very well, putting less than 5,000 miles a year on this vehicle, so obviously not spending much on gas. My apartment was about a half a mile off campus, so I was riding my bike to campus every day. And then when I worked on the weekends, only worked 2 miles away from my apartment, so again, not putting many miles on it. When I would put miles on the car, it's when I was going home for a weekend or a holiday or something, so a few hundred miles round trip, and then going to VIR or different car shows, driving events. I put some miles on it there. But over the years, I only have 30,000 miles on this 2011 vehicle, so it's been cool not to have to put a lot of miles on the car, so it's still very young. And when I did drive it though, it was for something special, driving events. And then over the years, I've done quite a few autocross events. I think the first 2 years of owning this car is when I did tons of autocross events, several each month. And then I got into a few track events at VIR, and we'll definitely be doing more of them in the future. And then I've done tons of mountain trips with some other Genesis Coupe owners. So this car has definitely opened up my life to driving events. With the TC, of course, not a real sports car at all. Wasn't able to do anything like that, but now with this car, I've been able to meet hundreds of other coupe owners and do tons of activities, and it's been really cool being able to drive this in performance settings, really actually using the car, how it's built, and it's definitely been tons of fun to drive it. For maintenance and reliability, as far as maintenance costs go, not really much. You know, if you take care of your car, it really doesn't end up costing you much money. Every 6 months I'll change the oil, which happens to be less than 2,500 miles on each oil change, and that's about $30 with an oil filter and 5 quarts of oil. And then of course filling the car up with gas, which I only do that about once a month. For reliability, I've had no major issues with the car. One thing I noticed about a year ago, this is push button start, and every now and then when I would try to start it up, it would not really turn over properly. It would idle at like 200 RPMs and beep at me. So I'd shut it off and then start it up and it'd start up fine. And I think I equate that to the key fob battery. I replaced the key fob battery and I haven't had that issue at all. So for you guys with the push button start Genesis Coupes, if you ever have that issue, just change that battery. And then the other issue that happened, which was actually last week, my battery died in the car. I was going to work and the car started up, but I did notice that it seemed to take a little bit longer to turn over. And then when I was coming home after work, pressed the button and nothing happened. And when I tried to start it again, everything would just flash at me and beep at me, and I pretty much knew the battery was shot. And it was the original battery, so it lasted 5 years, which is probably way more than it should have. But we went to Advanced Auto, got a new battery, popped it in, and we're good to go. And the only actual issue that I've had with the car, one of my taillights did fill up with water. However, the car was still under warranty, so I went to Hyundai and no questions asked, they ordered me a new taillight and got that replaced. And then I think the first few months of owning the car, they had a brake switch recall for the push start vehicles. So I just went in, they replaced the switch, and I was on my way. So at least as of now, I haven't had any real reliability issues, and I hope it stays that way. It's been perfectly reliable, no issues. Every now and then when it is below freezing, I will hear a little bit of creaking noises in the back of the vehicle. This car doesn't seem to like it when it's freezing out. But other than that, the car's been perfectly fine. You know, everything seems to work really nicely. The quality of the interior, I think, is pretty good. The leather steering wheel could have been maybe a little higher quality leather, but I've had no issues. It doesn't peel or anything. So I'm perfectly content with the quality of the vehicle. So now for my plans for this vehicle. In terms of modifications, hopefully later this year I will be doing a custom tune by BTR. There most likely will be a tuning event in a few months from now, and if things go as planned, I'll be able to join that and get a custom dyno tune, which will definitely be pretty insane, getting some extra power out of this engine and turbo. And then when I do need to get new tires, I will be doing new wheels as well, going from the stock 18s, which are about 8 inches wide, to 19s with 10.5 wide in the rear and 8.5 wide up front. So that'll be pretty sweet, having real performance wheels on the vehicle. And with the new wheels, I will also be taking off the wheel spacers since they won't be needed anymore. And then one thing I'd like to do to the vehicle is the 2013 taillights, but they're still at like $600 a pair, so that's just not cost effective right now. And then I would like to lower the car, but I'm still kind of torn. I really do like the Teen S-Tech lowering springs. They're pretty inexpensive, around 150 bucks, and they lower the car a little over an inch all around, which I think is the perfect ride height for the car. But I've seen so many mixed reviews on lowering springs saying they'll just ruin your struts, and other people I know with those springs have had them for 100,000 miles with no issues. So I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do in terms of lowering the vehicle with an upgraded suspension. So we'll kind of see how that goes in the future. So my plans overall for the vehicle, I have no intentions of selling it, at least anytime soon. Over the years, I've kind of gone back and forth saying once I graduate college, maybe trade it in for a newer Genesis Coupe. But now that I'm graduated, I've realized there's really no point to sell it. If I did sell it, I'd maybe get 16 grand for it. And there is nothing this cool I could buy for that price. And when 2014 came around, the 2014 Turbo R-Spec with the new seats, the carbon synchros, and the transmission, that was a car that I really wanted to pick up. But if I were to get one right now, that's, you know, to trade the car and 10 grand maybe, which is just not cost effective at all. So I'm going to keep this car as long as I can until it gives me a major reliability issue, until it kind of falls apart. I'm definitely keeping it, and hopefully it stays perfectly reliable for the next several years. But this is definitely a great daily driver. It's extremely comfortable, very practical, and there's no reason to get rid of it. So with that said, later this year, if things go as planned, since I'm now in the real world after graduation, hopefully in a few months, maybe summertime, I will be buying another car to add to the Genesis Coupe. And the car that I'll be buying only comes in a manual transmission with rear-wheel drive, and that is a true sports car in every way, shape, or form. Can't tell you all what that vehicle will be, but it will definitely be insanely awesome. So in the future, another car to add to the coupe. This thing will be my daily for as long as possible. Definitely don't want to sell it anytime soon. And then the new car that I'll be picking up will be my weekend fun toy, just pure fun car. So overall, owning this car for the past 4 years has been an amazing experience. I've met so many other Genesis Coupe owners and done several driving events with the car and other Genesis Coupe owners. I really do owe a lot of our YouTube channel to this car. Without this car, I don't know where we'd be in YouTube. I've done so many performance modification install videos, driving event videos, and this car is kind of what got myself and my brother into YouTube. So that's definitely been an amazing experience. And over the years, the car's been perfectly reliable for me, no major issues, and I've just had a blast owning it. It's pretty crazy to buy a Hyundai and then people ask me if I drive an Aston Martin, something I wasn't expecting when I picked up this car, and it's definitely been a really cool car to own. So there you go, everybody. That is the 4-year update of owning this car. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, browse our channel for tons of other Genesis Coupe videos. We'll have a few more planned this year. Be sure to like us on Facebook and also follow us on Instagram. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next video.